So it is 7 o'clock, and I will call the Jamaica Selectboard meeting to call it for Monday, June 13th. And the first item is to ask if there's any late additions or agenda items. Tom?
So I would like to talk, Kate brought up in some of the communication about who's managing that during the meeting, because currently I manage that, the computer, letting people in and out, and apparently some people, I don't see them and they wait and they never get in. So I think we need to kind of discuss moving forward what we're going to do to make sure that the public has access, because I can't, because I got a lot going on when I'm talking and when we're having debate and stuff, so.
And the chat too, they'll put stuff in the chat that we don't see.
Right, and I never see any of it, so.
Can you do chat?
Yeah, you can chat, yeah.
Is it legal for the schools? It's not legal.
I don't know.
It's usually shut off.
I can shut it off.
We weren't chatting last time, I wasn't.
I mean, I can always shut it, we can play with it and I can change the settings, but I'm more worried about the in-meeting management. So if we're sitting there talking and all of a sudden 3 people are trying to get in and we're having a talk, we can talk about it later. I'm adding it unless you want to talk about that first.
I'll add it to the agenda.
Okay, sure,
For
thank
sure.
you.
Yeah. So we'll put that on there as the last item before the timesheets.
Okay.
Good. Next item is to approve the minutes from our last meeting, which was our May 23rd select board meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Tom. Second? I'll second.
Got a couple things.
Kate?
In the paragraph about Water Street, there was just, I don't have it in front of me, but it should have been the word B-E instead of the word bin. It's just like a typo.
B instead of what?
Bin, B-E-N. It was just like a typo, whatever. And then also, in the section about the school board, Patty Dixon, I believe, was the one who was talking, and her name is not in that paragraph. It's just, she's referred to as she.
Oh, that's fine.
That's all I got. She the cow, that's what my mother used to say.
Okay.
You got something?
No, I don't have anything.
Kathy?
Yep. So a couple of revisions, motion to accept the minutes
Sure.
as revised.
As revised, I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second by Kate, all in favor of approving the minutes as revised? Say
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, minutes approved. Thank you, Sarah. Next item is an update and some funding opportunities that have come up regarding the community septic initiative. And we have Chrissy Haskins here, who is she's our what's the title? I mean, she works for the Dufresne group. She's on, I don't know what. She's not on the committee. You're the representative from the Dufresne group who's assisting us in the engineering for the potential community septic system. Take it away. So I guess I'll maybe give a little bit more introduction. I mean, we've formed a committee. We're kind of advancing through the steps that were outlined in an engineering scoping agreement. And just last week we had an update to the septic committee. And I don't know if you want to speak a little bit to that, just to update where we're at, and then bring up the what's come up as what you found regarding some potential moving.
Sure. So we had our 30% meeting. So for the funding that we have, they have milestone 30, 60, 90 that we have to have meetings with the state to make sure that they have an opportunity to make sure that we're going in the right direction, that what we're doing is eligible for funding, and that we're meeting all their requirements. So we had our 30% meeting last week, and what that covered was basically the existing conditions evaluation and the project need. So a lot of that came from the water study that was done in 2018. And so we just updated that. We added a few more points from basically the construction funding application. When you get there, there's a long list of priority questions to prioritize your project compared to other towns. And so using that list, we added some more information to the existing conditions to better support potential priority moving forward. We presented that. We did invite the public to, it wasn't a public meeting, but we did invite the community. We had some people show up, which was great. And I don't think there wasn't any major issues identified. I don't think it's a secret, we do have a parcel that we're looking at, Karen Hamilton's property. And so the scope of work for the funding that we have already, which is an engineering planning advance, is to focus mostly on Karen's property and to do a detailed analysis there, evaluation, and come up with a 30% concept design, as well as write the preliminary engineering report. We were also looking at, as part of that scope, at a high-level evaluation of other areas we could get capacity, other ways we could get septic capacity in the village. Since we started the study, we had another offer from a property owner looking to collaborate with the town on water and wastewater. So we'd like to review that parcel as well. That one I'm not gonna say the name yet because I haven't asked if it's okay. I mean, eventually it would come out, but.
Is it in the village?
Yes, it is.
It is in the village.
Yep. So one of the funding opportunities that's available right now is through the Clean Water State Revolving Fund, planning loan, which is kind of a parallel program to the planning advance. The planning advance is for towns that don't have wastewater, don't have any community wastewater. The planning loan can be used by anybody. But with the ARPA money, there is a special bucket of forgiveness, loan forgiveness for village wastewater projects, for villages that don't have wastewater. So normally the planning loans are 50% forgivable. So for village wastewater, they are right now 100% forgivable. And I've explained this a lot. The state does not use the word grant. It is basically a grant, but they don't use that word. So they use forgiveness or subsidy. So in this case, it's a 100% forgivable loan that's available. Each town is eligible for up to $125,000 in forgiveness per project. We're not asking for that much. So what I did was I went through our scope of work and I amended some of the tasks that we already have in there to add hours to evaluate this other parcel that has come up. So basically doing a topographic survey, the historic and archaeological review, the evaluation, alternatives, development and evaluation, and the 30% concept design. So doing all of that on this other parcel. And then I also went through and added some tasks that would get us further along in the feasibility. So those include, so one is that we know Karen's property, we know now that it's under Act 250 jurisdiction. So we can't do permitting under the funding right now because we're in planning and permitting happens under design. But what we can do is review all the criteria under Act 250 and make sure there aren't any surprises or issues when we get there. So we added to review Act 250 criteria, we added funding assistance to work on this application and moving forward an application for design funds. That's on a time and expense basis, so we're proposing that to be on a time and expense basis. So if you didn't use it, you don't get charged for it. Hydrogeologic analysis for both parcels, which is required by the state's permitting, but we can do it now in planning. And then we added some time in for public outreach and property owner outreach. So public outreach to better educate the community on what exactly we're proposing here, what's decentralized wastewater versus centralized wastewater. We actually are already contacted Wyndham Regional to see if they'd be interested in assisting with some of that outreach and education, and they are. Property owner outreach would be working with the property owners that are interested in collaborating and with any adjacent neighbors that have any questions or concerns about that. And then urban soils testing. So the state went and mapped all of the major roads, villages, and then villages and downtown areas in the state as urban soils. They didn't do any actual testing for this, so there's no, it's not guaranteed that the soils are contaminated. But what they say is that they have a higher likelihood of being contaminated because of vehicle exhaust. And so Route 30 is mapped as urban soils. Actually, our whole village is mapped as urban soils. Some other states, what they've done is limited that to about within 10 feet of the roadway. But Vermont didn't do that. They haven't done that yet. So, like Cairnsville Field is mapped as urban soils, when the dispersal of vehicle exhaust actually doesn't go that far out. But we will have to come along the road with any sort of collection system, so doing some testing to see if we do have urban soils or not. We can do that at this stage, and that would help us better plan for it moving forward. So those are the tasks that we added in terms of engineering. And so the breakdown that we came up with was $40,000 for engineering to do those additional tasks, and then $10,000 for legal, because the funding will cover deed review and easement development. The town does have to own the property that the system is on, or at least have an easement for it. And then we had $4,000 for appraisals. You do have to do appraisals to get fair market value, so we can do that now. And then I had $6,000 in there for Wyndham Regional, and that would be to pay them for their assistance. So that totals $60,000 under the forgivable planning loan. So if that's something you're interested in, we do have to apply this month. The money's only available until June, and it is till the end of June. And it is first come, first served. So I did work with Terry today. We filled out the whole application, and I have the signature sheet here if you choose to move forward with that.
In full disclosure, we've had a conversation, so I'm just gonna tease out a couple things. So the soil testing we would do now, we would have to do it anyway as part of the larger project, and that would be covered by the forgivable loan. Remind me, we don't need the soil testing on the other potential site we're exploring, correct?
Correct. The other site is not in the urban soils area.
Okay. And do you feel confident that in the $60,000, you've thought of sort of everything you can put in that bucket that we can reasonably anticipate will be needed and eligible for that bucket? Feeling pretty confident about that?
Yeah, I thought about it a lot, and thought about everything we can do now. And I think this covers it. I looked at some scopes from other projects that are further along and things that we've had to add. So those have been added in. So yeah, I'm pretty comfortable with this.
And your numbers are conservative, you think?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you weren't like trying to get a super realistic number?
No, because it doesn't, I'm actually proposing a lot of this to be time and expense, and it doesn't hurt. It certainly benefits the town to make sure we have enough to cover.
Right.
And if we needed to expand scope, and we're under budget on this item and we need to do something else, the state is pretty good about making those adjustments and allowing that to happen.
In terms of the preparation of the easement, does your estimate for the engineering include the survey that would have the meets and bounds for the easement? Or would we need further engineering work for that?
So we don't have that ourselves because we actually don't have a land surveyor.
Okay.
But we can hire one.
Is it too soon, or is that something that could go into this bucket?
Let me check with the state.
And I should have asked you that earlier, sorry.
What easement?
So if the town goes ahead with the project, we don't buy Karen's land. We buy an easement over her land that would encompass all of the steps of the project in perpetuity, and it would run with her land. That means even if she sold it subsequently, we would have it. In order to develop that, the words on the page that get recorded in the land record, the lawyer needs a survey, an engineer survey that has all of the exact measurements of where the scope of the geographic scope of the easement. There's a new trend to just basically citing easements, that the surveys that get recorded instead of us putting our meets and bounds in, but I kind of like to do both,
So Karen's property is actually 3 separate parcels. And the way she wants to do it is divide off one of those parcels. So
and literally sell the parcel or make an easement?
I don't think she has a preference.
Okay, interesting, okay.
My question is, if we try to add that in, does that delay tonight us filling out this application? And then we're starting to get towards the end of June. So I'm feeling some pressure tonight to move forward with this,
Right.
if we want to get that money.
Right, what we do, I agree with you,
So what we could do is, so right now we're at 60,000. If you wanted to approve up to 70,000 conservatively.
Right,
And then if I have to add it in, I can do that tomorrow.
Okay.
And if not, we stay there.
I feel a little better doing that, to
And
the
it's not,
extent
there's
we
no
get
skin off
there.
our back
Right.
as far as
Extra 10
if it
grand,
goes
yeah.
over. And you said if we don't spend to that limit, we just don't get it. So it's not, there's no negative on either side, right?
Correct. And the boundary survey shouldn't cost 10,000.
Right, no, it should.
Just going a little higher.
Standing.
And so we fill out the application, I mean, that means we're getting the money, or, I mean, is there any doubt that we wouldn't get this money?
Only if it's not available anymore.
Okay. So if we put the application in and money's available, we get it.
Yeah.
If not, then, so I think we want to act.
I agree entirely, I agree entirely. In terms of the actual, I know Terry's not here, and I know you met with her today. How does it work as a practical matter? In terms of dispersing monies, getting monies, does the loan come first? Or do we draw down from the loan? I know we didn't talk about that, and I apologize.
It's a reimbursement
Okay.
process. So it's the same as what we already have
Right now.
in advance.
Okay.
It's a reimbursement. So this will be the same thing. And we send, the Green Group sends you a bill, send the town a bill. Terry writes a check, pays it, and then we fill out a reimbursement form.
Okay.
And it goes back to the state, and they pay you within 30 days usually.
Okay.
So it comes from here, from,
It flows from here, coming
Yes.
from
We pay them.
Our operation.
just so, yeah,
Right.
it's clear.
our bank first. Yeah.
Right.
And then, how about, there's just one easement? If that goes from Karen's, is that for, what about are we too early on to talk about it coming from there up this way?
So we're gonna talk about the collection system as part of this project. So that'll run generally within the state right of way. So you don't need an easement from the state, but you do need a permit from the state to put a pipe along their right
So
of
it
way.
goes out of her property and up the road?
Correct.
I didn't know that.
Into town.
And there's enough.
Well, I know it didn't go
There's
right
enough
out
room
on the
in
road.
order.
Yeah, so,
We're kind of lucky because we have
Okay, no, I saw
room
that.
on the side of the road
Thought it crossed.
where the right of way is, so it doesn't have to go under the road. I mean, you brought that up before, it can't go under the road.
It can't go under the travel.
Parallel
The
lines
white
travel,
line or
yeah,
whatever.
they can parallel, but
It
not,
has to stay outside the white line.
I
yeah.
believe that's,
And you
I
mentioned
believe that's Karen.
up to 125,000, that's just in
Here, I
this
guess.
bucket of money, so to speak. It's not like we could take 70 now and still have the
Maybe lean this way too.
55 later that this money goes away, so to speak.
So you have, so if what the state was saying earlier this year was that they anticipated that the same funding would be available for the next funding
For next
cycle,
year,
which starts in
yeah.
July. You can get up to $125,000 per project per year.
Okay,
So come July, if they offer this again, you can get more money for continuing into design. So hopefully they do offer it again. That was I think that was the plan, we just don't know that for sure
Right,
yet.
and we wouldn't necessarily be able to make a decision on that until December, till your final
Correct.
report or whenever that comes out, yeah. I don't have any other questions. I mean, I guess, well, actually I do, sorry. On the Wyndham Regional side, have you spoken to them yet, or is this?
I did, I talked to Chris Campany today, and he is very interested in helping out.
Yep. I was just kind of curious about what the details of that, but.
What's their job?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Right, right,
yeah,
right, right.
What I proposed to him was that it would probably be, some sort of planning meeting with our committee, assisting with developing a presentation, and we might, I was proposing a couple sessions, maybe educational sessions. So assisting with developing a presentation, working with me on that, and then presenting it with me. And doing that a couple times. We talked in our committee meeting about doing something this summer, just so that we don't lose interest when we have a few months of no public meetings, no committee meetings. So doing something to bring interest and make
Keep people,
know, let
Oh,
people know
what's
that
going
we're
on.
working on it.
yeah.
So we could do some sort of educational sessions.
You wanna make a motion?
Yeah, I am.
When you do it. You know
I'll
how to
make, and put me on the spot, John.
Sorry.
So, I make a motion that the select board approve the submission of an application. I don't have the sheet in front of me, what is it called, for Sarah?
State
For,
revolving
for loan forgiveness
Clean
program,
Water State Revolving Fund Planning Loan.
planning loan, up to $70,000, for the purposes of, augmenting the funding, generally funding available for our wastewater project, but, in particular for the specific items that would be designated within the application.
I'll second the motion.
Is Sarah like,
I take the,
Any further discussion? All in favor of approving the loan application, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? One abstention. Okay, thanks everyone, thanks Chris.
I did.
Yeah, Tom, yeah.
I took the easy way out this time.
Thanks Chris.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, great work.
Keep us posted when more money comes around.
thank you.
More money.
Okay, the next item on the list is discussion on the use of the ARPA funds. The planning commission at our request had put together a list of recommendations, and they also did a nice job of outlining in a few paragraphs the monies and how they get allocated and what they can be used for. They basically came up with 5 different things, I believe. They are only recommendations. There's not a whole, or there's 6 different things. I'm always kind of anxious, and I keep asking Terry, are we meeting all the deadlines? I'm kind of anxious about this. Obviously, we've got some time. We don't have to actually, we're not obligated to submit our list until the end of 2024, and we don't have to actually spend it until the end of 2026. So we're not up against the wall yet, but I get anxious. I think that we got to keep
We
on
can
task, and
discuss
there's big items here. So I thank the planning commission for putting together and putting a lot of detail into this. Like I said again, it's only some recommendations, and it's basically the bones, and we need to still put a lot of meat on it. So.
Well, before I forget, are you done?
Yeah.
Aside from these, Londonderry has asked me to come. I'm a paint contractor. They've asked me to put in a bid for the library because there's federal funds available.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't gone up yet because I don't know if I gotta fill out a bunch of paperwork and all that, but I don't know if there are ARPA funds, and I just wonder if they might be able to go towards maintenance on the town hall. Be something to talk about.
The library got their own ARPA money, like our library.
But what about the town hall?
The town hall didn't get any.
Right, well, they get it, they would have to get it through
But
us.
I'm saying that.
No, but I mean-
Our library has their.
Yeah, because
Is it
the building needs some paint on the
There is
outside.
It's a whole
beautification,
reason.
Yeah.
there is
And
money in
Just
that area.
something else to think
Yeah.
about.
I mean, there is, one of the items in here was the upgrades to the heating and cooling systems, which include the.
Right, I saw that.
and all the rest of it.
Weatherization.
Exterior is
Yeah,
failing on that huge.
Yeah, the exterior needs to be looked at, right.
It's been a good 10, 12
yeah,
years since
it
that's
definitely
been-
needs work.
Right,
My basic understanding is that, I mean, it's, again, basic, is that there's a little bit more criteria behind maintenance things. I mean, upgrades are easier to kind of maybe assess than maintenance, but certainly it's something that could be considered. And this, again, this is just an outline of a few different things we may want. And I don't even know, again, maybe just some of my anxiety of wanting to keep moving this forward. I mean,
Right.
we're not, I did throw a decision on here in the agenda item, but we don't have to act on this. We can act on saying, let's accept these as some guidelines, and then we can always add to this, and we can always, add meat to what's here, and we can also add other things. I mean, there's no
Right.
dollar amounts in
Right.
here, short of the broadband, which Chris Robbins is well versed in, so there is some detail in there. And there's also an actual dollar amount for digitizing the town records, so.
And we have $300,000 or so
We
that's
have-
a significant
just that
amount, even
for
for, I mean, digitizing of the town records is 16,000.
Yeah.
That's a drop in the bucket for the total amount.
right.
So for the record, just to share with everybody, our total allocation is $307,000 and $307,310. We've received approximately half of that already, with the next half coming in August. We have until the end of 2024 to designate the use of that money. And we have until the end of 2026 to actually expend it. If we don't meet either of those deadlines, we have to give it back. And so these two items that actually do have dollar amounts on them are fairly small in that relative number. One, we're just talking about the digitizing of the town records. This would go back to be able to digitize them 40 years. Which would save a lot of wear and tear on the records themselves and also on the staff here, and make it easier for lawyers, et cetera, to access them. Cost estimate of $16,000. The other one that's got some more detail to it is to make a, not a donation, but basically make some restricted donation to the Deerfield Valley Fiber, which would assist
Assist the lower. Right.
sorry.
That's all right.
Assist the lower income people to be able to join in. That total is $22,100.
Shall we make, are you proposing that we make a motion on those two at least?
I would propose that.
Okay,
That was-
I
So then I
agree.
can ask a question about the second thing, after the motion's made.
Sure. I'll make the motion, or do you, I'll make a motion that we accept the planning commission's recommendations to use $16,000 toward the digitization of our town land records. Okay, maybe we'll do them separately.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion to that? All in favor of digitizing the town records, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So that's unanimous.
And just to know, we've explored this. This isn't we're just saying,
Yeah.
oh, 16,000,
Right.
yeah, let's expend 16,000. This has been
No,
explored.
this is a
And there's a
full
very
scope
specific
project.
scope that we've
Right.
already
Right,
reviewed
exactly.
in
Right.
previous
This is
meetings.
just money is now falling
Yes,
into our lap
exactly.
to actually accomplish this goal, which is
We're not just
vetted
willy-nilly
and
accepting
put
that.
out to bid, scope of work, Sarah's,
Right,
yeah,
this one has
yeah,
had
this is
quite a lot
pulling
of
the trigger
work.
on something we've been trying to do for a long
And
time.
we've gone
And
through
Sarah's
the-
done a lot of work,
Very
yeah.
nice.
We've gone through the full process to get the estimates
Yeah.
for that. Okay,
Thank you, ARPA.
so the other one,
Oh, did we vote on that?
we did.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep,
Unanimous.
yep. The other one is regarding the Deerfield Valley Fiber. And accessibility to the internet, I believe, I'm sorry, I'm reading it real quickly here because I think there are two different portions of it.
So
Okay, so the
the 22
total is $22,100. So the total financial assistance would help low-income families connect to the internet and also assist those who needed a non-standard connection. Basically, if it had to go 400 feet past the last pole, the DV fiber would fund the initial $1,200, but if it went beyond that, there's an additional $1,200 cost, so that would help assist those people.
So just subsidies, basically?
Subsidies.
Okay.
So this money would go to DV fiber as the restricted donation.
I second the motion.
Did I get that motion right? Any further discussion on that? All in favor of accepting the planning commission's recommendation for allocating money to DV fiber, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? So the motion passes. Okay, and the rest of them still need quite a lot of meat, but I guess throwing them out there, I don't know if there's a...
Yeah, I'd like dollar amounts
Yeah,
assigned to them if we were
Right,
looking at
right,
them before we
right,
say we're gonna do them.
Right, the question is, yeah. Yeah, just
So I think a lot of
process
them...
question of how we get the work done, kind of to get these to a condition where we can vote on them.
So I think, yeah, a lot of it will require estimates. And if we decide that we're gonna continue with these and or add on some additional ones, these may not total what we have, and there may be quite a lot of other
I
opportunities.
would, right, add on Andy's suggestion that we determine whether, the exterior work on the town hall qualifies.
And we had
That's
looked at the trim painting, because the trim is in
Right.
quite bad shape, in
Yes.
particular over the
The
entryway.
whole thing
Right.
is like,
But it needs.
right, and maybe to your earlier point, Greg, that it has to be something more than just simply maintenance.
Right.
Replacing whatever, especially with Andy's expertise, whatever kind of what we could call an
So it's
upgrade, which
more
would be an
sustainable,
upgrade.
yeah.
Replacing, et cetera, parts that obviously helps the building to survive our winters and probably, whatever,
Can I have a comment on that?
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Money was given to the historical society, so you'd have to go through the historical.
Right.
you can't just
Right.
do stuff.
Right,
Right.
So you can't
No, they're-
just-
with the heritage, or was it
You'd have to
Vermont?
really.
Preservation.
picky about that
They come
building.
every year or whatever and check it
Yeah.
out to make
Yeah.
sure that.
Oh, you mean to comply?
I've worked with them, yeah, I've worked with her
Yes,
before.
yes.
Towns are-
For example, with the air conditioning, I sent all the proposals to her so she could vet them
I
out.
don't think we can go replacing clapboards and all that.
Yeah,
You'd have to-
We'd have
without
to-
that.
no, right.
Agreed,
Okay, what's her
yeah,
name?
absolutely.
Judy really
Judy was very much in
was
it.
schooled on that, on how picky they can be with that building.
We're very picky.
Yeah, so just for the public record here too, some of the other items or buckets, big broad buckets that they suggested. Road system improvements, culverts, ditches, bridges, and drainage. That's one. High-speed internet we talked about. Weatherization, insulation, and fuel switching for town-owned buildings, which is possibly something we could add on. Water supply and wastewater disposal issues. One other issue was also the potential of designated hazard pay for our employees that work through COVID. So those were all the suggestions that they had come up with, but again, stating that that's not a limited list.
Okay.
Okay, anybody other comments, questions, anything like that? Okay. To next item here, review the town administrator's job description. So this was something that was approved back at town meeting to hire a part-time town administrator to assist the board and also assist the office to with all kinds of things as designated that we may designate. We had come up with a general description during our budgeting process of what this might look like. And I just shared that with everybody. Again, this is something that we've got budgeted to start the beginning of July, so we're a little bit behind the 8 ball as far as finding potential candidates. There are a fair number of towns that have part-time administrators, which is also what we'd be looking for, so we could potentially garner on to any other, somebody who's already knowledgeable and are already working in another part-time capacity. So I don't know if we're ready to, I just sent this out as we discussed it 4 months ago.
This isn't, sorry.
No, go ahead.
This isn't fully baked, but when I'm looking at it,
It's not fully baked,
there's incomplete sentences and all kinds of stuff in here. So my opinion is someone needs to go through this and kind of finalize it before we vote on it. That's
Good
because we
suggestion.
should have a final job
I was
description
just trying
before we
to
say
move it
this is the
forward
job
to get people
description.
thinking about it again, so that's
And I'd
exactly.
be more than willing to volunteer to do that. I can go in, I do a lot of this kind of stuff with my job anyway. So I could go in and.
Would you be willing to accept like thoughts and suggestions?
Of course
from the
I
group?
will, yes.
Oh, awesome, all right.
Okay, no,
I'll do
definitely.
a markup and send it to you, is that okay? I
That's
have my
totally
notes.
fine, yeah, and what I can do is please send me the information.
Okay.
Of course, I'm not just doing it on my own, but I've been willing to administer it and write up.
That's awesome.
And I'll send you some,
If no
Thank
one likes
you.
to do that stuff, then I'll do it.
I'll send you a few of my thoughts.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
was
that's-
exactly why I brought it up. I wanted to have an open
Perfect.
discussion about it. It kind of sat in the back burner for the past 4 months.
Yeah.
And we have we could be moving forward on this. A lot of it too is just helping administer the ARPA grants and the other road grants and, things like that. There's a lot of potential money out there. Paul,
Will this be shared with the rest of the community before you sign on?
at our next meeting, for sure, or
Because
our,
I know
Well, we can-
it was not on the website, we have it, no, I don't know.
I can put it, when it's done, I can put it out on the website
Right.
if
Right,
that's.
in advance of a meeting, so we can
Sure,
have a meaningful
most definitely.
conversation, absolutely.
Where will you be advertising to hire this person? From what pool capacity?
where? I'm sorry, I missed the first part. Unknown at this point, as far as field as we need to. It obviously doesn't get filled by posting it on the bulletin board out front.
Oh,
So we gotta go a little bit further than that.
It could.
It could, no, I'm not saying to exclude that, but
But I think the town has been stagnated for so long, getting some new young blood. And I'm old, so I can say that. You can take advantage of some of the colleges where they have recent graduates in government and town planning. I think this administrative asset could be phenomenal, like you said, for grant writing, for doing a lot of things, but giving a fresh look to where Jamaica may try to get to, because we've got a couple of big problems
right.
that I'll be talking about when I get my time. But I don't like the idea, politely I say, well, there's some part-time administrators. I don't think we need another administrator from another town to fill in, but we need some woman or man that is truly dedicated in that field and current with a lot of vitality that can structure something that could really be an asset. So I just wanted to share my opinion.
that's awesome, yes.
Thank you for letting me say that.
Thank you, yes. So Tom, thank you for
Yes,
taking that on.
thank you.
We'll forward your thoughts and comments and I'll get that on the
Get
agenda
them
for our
to me
next
this
meeting.
week,
I will.
so I
I
can
will.
work on them and get it by the next, I will do my best to get it by the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is update on the Water Street Committee. At our last meeting, we approved forming a committee. There's a lot of different ideas floating around. Kate stepped up to be the liaison and the kind of the point person from the board for the committee. And I'll turn it over to Kate.
Yes, so I would like to make a motion that the select board appoint the following people to the Water Street Town Plan Committee. People who have stepped forward in advance, who have already expressed their interest. That would be Norma O'Brien, Ann Connor, Jackie Brown, and Erica Bowman, and I would be the liaison. And I don't know if I'm supposed to go on about the fact that this is an advisory committee. We would be making recommendations to the select board. We would get input from people who are adjacent landowners, and it would just be making recommendations to the select board and reporting to the select board with our recommendations.
Second the motion.
Sorry it's so long.
It's okay.
Any further discussion?
Just a quick question. I saw the note, from Nick. Ultimately, if a recommendation is made and the select board accepts it, it was my sense that the folks who are on the committee, who are intimately familiar and who would be kind of really interested in making sure that the scope of work is implemented properly, would they not be able to kind of continue in that role? I guess I wasn't sure. I would want, you know what I'm saying? Anybody who was on the, I suppose anybody could participate, but,
That would be the board's decision if we wanted
At
to
the
dissolve
time.
the committee or if we wanted to continue with the
Okay.
committee.
And it's just advisory, and at that point, when a presentation's made, it could be a month from now, it could be 2, 3, I don't know.
We'll be at
hopefully.
the next meeting.
We're meeting tomorrow.
Yeah,
Right.
and so
That was warned.
at that point, whatever they advise, we can say yay, nay, or,
Correct.
So then my only request would be, as you have your conversations, if you could include kind of how, if it makes sense, I'm just asking, right? The implementation, the committee, what the committee's willing to do in terms of the continued participation in the implementation,
Yeah.
if an implementation is recommended.
Yes, it was discussed at the last meeting that we would hire, and I know there was request that we put that out to bid to do the brush hog work and all that. And that
And the
was,
pulling of the-
I think $1,500 was what Eric came up with.
that was at our select board meeting, but that hasn't come from the committee yet.
Right.
Right. That was a proposal from Erica, but that doesn't.
Right.
Yeah, and we're not talking
None
about
of
that
that is
now.
binding.
So we're not talking about those things. The committee was voted to be formed, the committee will come up with
The
recommendations.
recommendation.
And at that point, we can have a bigger dialogue about what or if anything happens. And
All right, for one thing, I'd like to disband the committee.
it's already, that's water under the bridge.
No, I'm just saying I would like to. I'm not saying you're
Okay.
going to.
Okay.
And then we have one person, Erica Bowman, who is this master gardener. We have no other opinions on how to go at this thing. I've read the three plans that she has, and the last one is extreme, and that's what I'm concerned about.
Again,
It's
which-
extreme. No, but I just want to say this because a lot of people, I'm just speaking for some people, and there's some public here that can speak for themselves, but we're going on this one person's recommendation. There's another.
We don't have any recommendations.
No, but I'm
yet.
just saying, no, I've read all the emails.
But that's
I brought 'em
up to
all.
the committee right now to bring something forward, and if they bring that forward, then you can bring up the point. At this
But
point,
there's just one person that has the credentials for all of this. We never asked anybody else.
There's 5
That's all I'm
people,
asking.
5 people in the
There's
public.
one master landscaper,
There are
that's for
5
wheelhouse,
people
that's what it
that are
says.
public volunteers that are going to make a recommendation to us.
We're making a
And
big
then
mistake,
we can-
that's all I'm gonna say.
And then we can make a decision, and at that time, we can make a decision if we want to move forward with what these 5 citizens of our town are recommending to us.
and
They volunteered
there's
for this.
other attributes.
I know that.
Okay.
But I
well,
think Kate brought up a good point too. There's other aspects of what the committee is tasked with doing. And it's not just coming up with a plan or if any plan, but there's representation from adjacent landowners. There's people, there's outside people that aren't just in the town here. I think the recommendation for the board or for the committee is very broad and has there's a lot of different stakeholders in there.
I have a question. The committee the people that you named, how did they know that this was gonna open up this committee? I didn't see anything posted anywhere or anything on the.
it was at the last meeting. At the last meeting, we said, if someone is interested, please reach out to us at the last select
I
board meeting.
don't listen to the meetings.
Okay.
And everybody has the opportunity to participate and give feedback to the committee. Not everybody can be on the committee just because they raise their hand.
Right.
But
And these are public meetings that are warned, so
Well-
tomorrow, what time is it tomorrow? 6
6
o'clock?
o'clock.
Do you want to go over and meet with the committee and observe?
Minutes too.
I'm sorry?
Yes, we're gonna take
And
minutes.
very, it is a designated committee from the select board, so it does fall over under the open meeting law, so all of this will be,
Right.
every discussion will be
Right.
public.
But we have no one else beside, I mean, I understand these are volunteers, but we have no other opinion as far as brush hogging and how far you
Well,
want to go with it.
that group of people.
I'm not an
perhaps could
authority.
bring-
But that you're,
But those
that's a
other
good
people,
point,
that
because
group,
this has
that
to do
group
with
could get other
who's
opinions. We don't know what they're
representing.
gonna bring back to us.
But that's a good point,
much
because
so.
because it's I mean, this is a good point, because you're concerned about who's on the committee and not about what the action of the committee is gonna be, so that's a.
Oh, I'm concerned about both.
No, but right now, we're not talking about the outcome, we're talking about who's on the committee, and that concern, I mean, I would argue that we don't want 5 land use experts on the committee either. It needs to be a little bit more of a cross-represented group.
Well, I'm alone on this, so.
Do you feel though,
Have at
do you feel though, I mean, are we gonna get a better result by having another,
No, it's just,
Our-
like, if I had all the emails and we're reading them, some of it's pretty extreme, and my responses were ignored. And there's people who don't want to brush hog the field, they don't care about the other stuff, but another landscaper I talked to said there's no need to do that. This invasive species is all over town, and you can take it out, it's gonna come back. It's gonna keep coming back.
Yeah.
we gotta keep fighting?
No, it's gonna keep coming back anyway.
Well, yeah,
Now,
I can speak to, yesterday I went out and I cut down 2 poison parsnips. One of them was pretty high up. It came back. But if I wouldn't have done that, I think it would look like the end of the road where there's 50 of them.
Yeah, if you're a gardener, you have to keep weeding.
You gotta keep on
You
it.
have to
I
keep
know
weeding.
that.
Okay, well, I mean, so we're
Same
just,
idea.
The recommendation.
and again, there's no recommendation for any of this yet. There's no recommendation has been made. Erica made a recommendation, and then the board said, we're not accepting that, and we're gonna have a committee that will then come back with recommendations. And that's where we're at now, is making that committee and assigning the members to the committee. That's what we're doing. There is no proposal on the table.
There will be.
There will be, you're right, and then we as a board have the ability to either accept it or reject it.
And we can go
That's
out,
government.
we can go out.
I know
yeah,
that.
I
There's a question from the public.
know, but I don't have to, I'm sorry, I don't have to recognize the public when we're in a board discussion.
Oh,
I'm sorry, no, that's, I see that, thank you.
sorry.
But also, when and if, again, a recommendation comes out, it's gonna go out to bid, and it won't be specifically to say bid on what it costs to brush hog, it would be bid on what it costs to manage this property. And maybe it was nothing, I'm going down the road that I said I wasn't gonna go down, we're voting on a
If we
board.
even choose to do that, we may
Should we-
choose not to do that. We
But
may
we-
say, yeah, we've thought about it, and we've looked at it, and we looked at the proposal, and it's unnecessary.
Are we better off with having a committee that has 2 land use, or 2, I don't know Erica's title, but are we better off with a committee that
Landscape
has?
architect.
Landscape architect. I mean, we're better off having a committee that has 2 landscape architects on it. I mean, it's easy enough to find another one. We can make recommendations to the committee that they consult with other.
We could, the committee can do that, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I was just gonna say, I'm on the committee, but I'm totally against any of this. I want it knowing that I'm coming in as an objector to this whole thing. I've read up on this knockweed stuff. You can't get rid of it. It's growing all over the country. The countryside is growing along the river. The roots to this knotweed can go 60 feet. You cut it down, you have to dig a hole 3 feet deep, 3 feet wide, take it out, plastic needs to go in, and new dirt put in. And then all this stuff that's along the riverside is still going to grow. If you cut it down, you chop it down within a 2-inch piece of the knotweed takes root. So there's really absolutely nothing that will get rid of this.
Yeah, we appreciate, we're glad you're on the committee, so
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
portion,
Every voice,
that voice is gonna be integral to the committee.
Yeah, it's possible that the committee won't agree on something to propose.
Correct.
We don't know.
I mean, this
Okay.
is just, I mean, we've lived in this house for 40 some odd years, and what I'm afraid of is when, almost 50 years, I guess, when, you know, if this is cleared, what's going to stop people from walking around the property? Our line is not that far from the.
Well, that's what we want to hear in the committee, so I'm gonna table the conference, thank you.
Okay.
So there is a motion on the table to accept the committee members as proposed by Kate. All in favor of accepting the committee, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
No.
Any abstentions? So motion passes. The committee is formed as Kate recommended. Thank you. And tomorrow night, 6 o'clock, you said?
Yeah,
Here?
on Water Street.
No,
Oh, down at the site. Okay.
Unless the
So
bugs
meeting
are just
tomorrow,
inside.
6 o'clock
Lots of
down at
bugs.
Water Street.
Yeah, bring
Thank
it.
What's that?
Bring
What's that?
your
It's a meeting.
bring your boots, bring your
Meeting for
spray.
what?
To discuss, it says an
Committee
agenda.
meeting.
There's an
Yes,
agenda, it's a committee
committee
meeting with an agenda and
open to
warrant and
public.
everything else.
It's in
What's
the
the,
backyard.
where's the agenda?
I'm sorry?
Is there
Post it
an
on the
agenda?
website? Post it on the
It
website?
was warned.
There is.
It's on the website,
I
yeah.
think I'll
Okay.
open it.
I posted it.
Okay, thank you. Next item was Tom's item
Yeah.
to add regarding
So,
Zoom
I mean,
meetings and
and so we're here discussing things, and I'm looking, and I have to check every 2 minutes to look over there to see, hey, is that, you know, what is that? You know, is someone in, is someone in? And what Kate pointed out, and Andy had said, no, Andy had said at the last meeting was that people were trying to get in,
Do you want to see that?
that people were trying to get in and they couldn't get in. So I'm asking if we can at least think of a better way, if someone else, if we hire someone from the public, or someone sits over there and monitors the technology of the meeting, because it's very difficult for me to monitor the technology of the meeting and act as, in my role as select board.
Yes. And I agree, because I also have people saying, someone's on their ways in their hand, and I can't
Yeah.
see it. Again, running the meeting,
And tonight,
I don't have a solution, so.
yeah, and there were people because again, I would look over and I'm like, oh no, there's 2 people, I gotta let them in, you know, and so I know sometimes I do miss it, and I know sometimes people, it's just sitting there, you know, the moderator will let you in, and then 10 minutes later, when I don't, they say, oh, well, I guess they're not doing it, and they drop off, and then we have a member of the public who's, you know, not being closed out of the
Legitimately
meeting.
wants to be here.
So, I don't have a solution other than finding someone besides myself to do that, and I don't know who, and I don't know if
One
we got
idea that
paid.
came up was to just get that bigger, projected up on the wall so that we all have an easier point of seeing it.
The other option would be to not have a waiting room. Now, the risk of not having a waiting room is if you have someone who gets in, who, you know, there's been some bad situations
it's
with
good policy to have a waiting room.
hate and other things that came out in a meeting in Brattleboro, where people just basically, you know, we're talking about Nazis or whatever.
I think it's good business practice to have a waiting room. I mean,
I think it is too. I would recommend that we continue that, but again, then someone needs to manage it, and I'm not really, it's a challenge for me to do both. That's all I'm saying. So,
Patty said that it was, the school board did not allow the chat.
I can turn the
You're
chat
not allowed
on.
to
yeah.
chat, but
Is that
as far
a
as
legal
people
thing?
coming and going, it's illegal.
I think it is.
And I think it's, I don't know if it's just a school illegal thing.
It's illegal on
I think it's an
here.
open meeting law thing.
Yeah, because you're not gonna have any way, not everyone necessarily can see
no.
that.
But you have to,
Right.
you have to be
Right.
in here
Right.
to use the chat function.
Uh-huh.
So as far as allowing people in and out, well, in at the school, basically the host is the chairperson, but they have a lot bigger screen than you have. But everybody is always looking constantly at the screen to see if there's someone who's not in, that's how they run their meetings.
So who does that at those meetings? Everybody?
Everybody.
Okay, so
watches.
This is just awkward.
one option is,
But that's so small.
To get a projector.
I have a projector.
You too.
I just happen to have a projector at home. I don't know if it would hook to this, I don't know if that has HDMI in it, but I have a projector that I could donate to the town. I can check it out after, that we potentially could project it on the whiteboard there, which then would be larger, and we could see how that
Yeah.
works. Maybe we'll take that, I don't know.
any other idea, we try that.
I'm fine with that.
I don't think this
Because
is,
I know people have commented to me that they've been trying to get, raise their hand, and I haven't seen
this
it.
doesn't have an HDMI,
Yeah,
so there's
raising
no,
your hand to
it's
do
not-
that.
Yeah.
Well,
It doesn't have-
I mean, it would be great if there was like a bigger thing that flashed, so you could see that someone was,
We can get it adapted.
instead of like a tiny
well,
icon.
I will do a little bit of research to see how you can project an iMac of that generation, and I will get back to you.
check
Okay.
with,
Thank you.
Boston, what's his first name?
Al Clausen?
Al Boston, or Joe Winrich,
Yeah,
they'd be able to tell you
okay.
exactly how they make it.
Well, I mean, do they have something like this, or, and then they project it?
Yeah, and there's, well, I think it's on a big screen because it's at the school.
Right,
so
the
it's
problem
a
is-
huge TV screen, I'm sure.
Yeah, the problem with these iMacs is it's made for the big screen in the front, not to peel something off the back. And this is an older model.
Yeah, it's a much bigger TV or
It does
monitor.
have, it does have some Thunderbolt ports which might be able to do some, I have to look at the projector I have too. It's an older projector too, it does have HDMI in it, but it's older.
Okay.
Well, old and old,
I
anyway.
got old stuff, well, we get old stuff, it's free,
Yes.
it's the right price, right?
All right. Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome.
Next item is just review the time sheets and the pay orders, and Terry had posted those up today. I'll make a motion to accept the pay orders and time sheets that she posted. Second by Tom. All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
And we'll formally put our John Hancock on them after the meeting. Next item, public concern. Any other questions, Jonathan?
Is this open time?
This is open time right now.
All right. Well, first of all, I would be remiss in
Say your name.
I'm not kidding, it's John.
Right, yeah.
It would be remiss of me not to thank you all for this work you do. I know you're not getting big contracts and garages and cars, and so I know your volunteerism is phenomenal. But I would never do it. But there's some things in this town that I was spearheaded a long time ago that almost won and then fell apart, and there's 3 issues I just would like to share with you. The first one, and I'm not picking on one, I'm identifying this new person in town who has 2 projects that the best is yet to come. He's violating our town ordinances with the signs. I want those down. I'm about to go do it myself. And if the best is yet to come, and this is what he's got now, I hate to see what the best is yet to come. He can't even keep his areas cut with grass and organized and clean. So that's the one thing. I went to the town office before and mentioned it, and they said, definitely come to the select board meeting to express your opinion. And I respectfully would like to see some enforcement on that. I think on the books we have a fine. I'm not sure, Andy, is that correct?
Well, I would refer to the chair. I think we
For
had a
the
little
sign
trouble
ordinance.
enforcing the
We
fine.
had trouble, yes.
But
Yeah, we do have,
We do, right.
What I want to see, when I see a house on fire, I like to put it out. I'm an entrepreneur, we have a company that works for the whole North America, and I'm a very small company with assets, but we got to move. And this thing is just crazy. Number 2 that I'd like to share with you, and it's probably a little too late, but we have a real problem with our town, and I've lived here probably as long as most of you, and I'm an old timer, I guess, is my daughter owns an Airbnb, by the way, not in this town, so I'm not against Airbnb. I think it's a wonderful vehicle. But because the town's position of not assertively and aggressively take a look at our school district, we have just become the Sleepy Hollow of a 30-mile radius out. And what I mean by that is we're not in the Burton school program. We are also not in their new rec center. We're one of the few towns. And the world is going by us. We're becoming a town of very old people, like me, and we're becoming a town of Airbnb. And I'm very, for transparency, involved in the real estate industry vicariously, someone in our family, but I also talk to other business women and men in the real estate industry. And if you say Jamaica, not one family wants to come here. I've talked to you before about that, Greg. It is such a pivotal, strategic, tactical problem we have that just nobody addresses. I don't care how much money it costs, and I'm not being naive to buy us out of the district. But we have fallen so far by the wayside, the Jamaica area. Unbelievable. If you go to the other towns and see how much more vibrancy in terms of the family network, the fabric, the people full-time that settle there. So I wanted to share that with you, but again, respectfully, it's a hard decision, it's a legal decision, and coupled with that, when are we going to address the Jamaica school? When you look at the fiscal concept of running that operation versus the input and the output, it's a tremendous issue that needs to be looked at. We just can't keep letting things going on and on. And I don't personally have the answers directly, but we seem to just let things fall on. And I want to say again how impressed I am with all you guys and girls working here. And here Mr. Big Mouth coming in, I'm never at any meetings, but this has been building with me. And I feel so frustrated as a homeowner who tries to keep our home nice. And I look around the town and see what's happening. It just makes me nuts. And I think these are decisions that are extremely important. We don't have families in our town anymore. And the fact that we are not on that recreational list for the new facility in Manchester, that was the last straw. I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. And do you know about the facility that's going in Manchester? No? You don't?
No.
Oh, okay. Building a multi-million dollar recreational center. Pools, tennis courts, weight rooms, fitness centers, just the most extravagant thing you can imagine. And all the different towns are invited to participate and be inclusive of it. We're the one that's not. Windhill's in, Wardsboro in, London, everybody's in but us.
I believe some of those towns that are not in. I know for a fact Londonderry voted not to participate.
Okay, well,
But again, you're right. I mean, I'm not discrediting it, but I wasn't sure. I don't know that it took off like it did.
Then I said corrected it. Thank you.
But yeah.
But it's the same kind of thing as this Leland and Gray issue. You know, what is the best thing for what few kids are around here? The opportunity of the Bird Burton program versus ours, respectfully, because there's a wonderful group of people down there, but we can't compete. And it doesn't matter if it's in entertainment, if it's in politics, if it's in education, whatever, you have to be able to compete. And this issue, you know, as like I said, Greg, I cornered you at the dump like a year ago and talked to you about this. So, and last but not least, our budget dollars that we appropriated for that wonderful town garage. And there's a similar thing, but I think I heard bits and pieces from you folks. The town maintenance guys there, and I don't know, but I've been waiting on that new expensive roof. It's just loaded with pine needles. It's been loaded with branches that have fallen. They just don't, somebody's not taking care of that new building on that roof. And it's sort of similar to the genre or the concept when I look at our town hall. Those trees have been growing on that roof. You know, I just actually checked them again before I left. But I think I heard you guys and girls talking about. So I just don't know what we're doing with that beautiful building up there. I'd like to have a little bit more taken care of in a little bit. I think that goes with enclosing some of the pride on our main street and some of the, if there are, we don't have zoning, right?
No, zoning.
But we do have sign ordinance.
We do have a sign ordinance.
Yeah, so like, what can we do collectively, well, what can you men and women do collectively to maybe like, let's up our game here a little bit. It looks, I'm on camera so I don't want to use the word, driving through, you know, and so much has changed, and I don't think it's a positive change. And I was practicing talking on the way over so that I wouldn't be rude, and I wanted to not get emotional, and I wanted to share with you these things, because it's not going to really matter for me, you know, whether I got 5 years left in my life or 35 years left. It's just, we're stagnant. And then you talk, not you, that was rude. There's a talking about this water project, like it's the Messiah. There's some valuable concepts to consider with it, but we have bigger issues in terms of how do we create a fabric of unity of families to bring this town to its luster that it was when my kids were young. And now my daughters have babies and, they're 35 and 38. But that's all I wanted to share, and I wanted to thank you for letting me do that. And am I allowed to ask your opinion, or is it just some comedy that I should get like?
You can ask an opinion. We might not get it. No.
You might not like it.
Well, I understand what you're saying, because I obviously, I live in the village, and I live in the village, I'm Tom Tolbert, I live over on Water Street. It is frustrating, and I see the Airbnb, but as a town, it's a free market. If people want to come and open an Airbnb, the town has no ability to say, you can't do that unless we implement zoning. So it's how do you build that community? You're right. How do you try to attract people who want to be full-time residents? And because that's where you're going to build that community.
Schools. And
I agree.
And I want to change my statement if that's what you thought. I like Airbnbs. I have no problem with them. But what I'm saying is the drain, our town has become an Airbnb community because families will not move here.
Right.
This is the last place they'll come to.
Right.
They do not want to come. Oh, there's a real estate agent? Nope, I don't want it. Because of the schools.
And I'll let you talk just about schools.
Do you have an idea of what's going on with trying to figure out this school thing and the number of people who are working on this really hard, including me, and spending a lot of time in committees? And there's stuff going on. There's a long-term planning committee at Leland and Gray. It's about the elementary schools, and we're about to lose our school, our Jamaica school, possibly. We need people like you who are very interested in keeping our town viable and keeping our school viable. There's all kinds of stuff going on. You really need to look at the Wyndham Central. It's, I'll give you a call.
I certainly have faith in what you're doing, and I look from afar. But again, as an entrepreneur,
it's not just about whether we are going to have school choice or not. That's part of it, but that's not the whole thing. So it's and trying to figure out what to do, how to make Leland and Gray better. It's really a whole thing that's happening, and I would really like it if I had more people who were part of it and attending meetings, Zoom. I mean, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, no, I see that. I guess I don't guess, it's certainly from my point of view, I feel this is all taken respectfully too long. It's a big
can't go any
project.
faster than
Right.
the central office will go. And you have to have committees, you have to have people who are working on it. I would love to, have it go faster, and I've stood up at meetings and really put my whole thought into things, and I've said things that are uncomfortable because I have to. There are people working on
I'd love
this.
to learn more. I guess too, I should be transparent with this whole board too. I'm a little bit, it's a hot button for me because years and years ago, but who cares about history? It's over with. My wife and I came back from the Cape Cod to vote on school choice, and we won. And that vote won.
But there were not even 100 people voting.
Right.
So to me, that was not a referendum on what this whole town would want of school choice or not. So I was the one who brought the petition back. We had 300 people voting, and it didn't pass by 120 something. So it was a real vote to me. I'm not saying that I'm in favor of school choice or not school choice. I just want to keep Jamaica School. Right now, that's what I'm fighting for, is keeping Jamaica School one way or the other.
And I'm not sure if it, from a socioeconomic, scholastic point of view, cannot be done.
Anything can be done.
I mean, if you work from a business education point of view, when you look at those are the questions I just had.
I'm gonna just,
Yeah.
I think, both the conversations are awesome. I mean, I think they both bring up great, you bring up great points, both of you.
Anyway, that's what I wanted to
appreciate
share.
it.
I thank you for you also sharing, my neighbor, thank you. And thank you for letting me come in and go out, but I hope I didn't disrupt everything.
You're always welcome. You're always welcome to come in and join us. Thanks, Jonathan.
Thank you. Okay, anything else? Any other comments? Paul, Patty, thank you.
I represent the part of the community that's happy as hell.
Because you're old.
Retired, that's why.
Or someone, I can say that too now, so, okay.
I make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor of adjourning? Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Aye,